LinkedIn post ideas, week of July 25th to August 1st, 2026. 3 angles pulled from this week's news in AI and tech/VC. Each has a defensible point of view, connects to a broader trend, and is fresh enough to feel timely. Idea 1. The AI price war is a strategy signal, not a discount. Hook. OpenAI just cut GPT-5.6 Luna's price by 80%, 3 weeks after launching it. Angle. This isn't generosity or efficiency gains. It's the moment inference stopped being a product and became a commodity. The winners of the next phase won't be the labs with the best model, they'll be the ones who build the best distribution on top of cheap tokens. Draft post. OpenAI cut GPT 5.6 Luna's price by 80% this week. The model is 3 weeks old. Labs don't do that because they feel generous. They do it because the competition made it necessary. In this case, Moonshot's Kimi K3 dropping as a fully open-weight 2.8T model days earlier. Here's what I think is actually happening. Inference cost is no longer a moat. When Luna goes from $1 to 20 cents per million input tokens overnight, and open weights are available for anyone willing to run their own GPUs, though which model is smartest, conversation matters less every quarter. The interesting question shifts to distribution and workflow. Who owns the surface where the tokens get spent? Whose product routes to the right model without the user thinking about it? Whose customer relationship is deep enough that a 20% capability edge from a competitor doesn't matter? A lot of AI native startups have been running the "we're a wrapper but our prompts are magic" playbook. That was always going to age poorly. It ages faster when your underlying cost drops 80% overnight, and your competitors does too, because now the story has to be about something other than the model. If you're building on top of frontier models right now, the strategic question isn't which lab do we bet on? It's what do we own that survives the tokens going to zero? Source: AI price wars. OpenAI cuts GPT 5.6 Luna prices by 80% as model competition shifts toward cost venture beat. Idea 2. A Chinese lab just gave away the largest open model in history. That's not a technical story, it's a geopolitical one. Hook. The largest open-weight AI model in the world is now Chinese, and it's free. Angle. Moonshot's Kimi K3 release inverts the assumption that closed equals frontier and open equals follower. When the open frontier is being defined outside the US, the export control debate stops being about GPUs and starts being about whether safety through opacity was ever a real strategy. Draft post. Moonshot AI released Kimi K3 this week, a 2.8 trillion parameter model, 1 million token context window, fully open weights, free to download. It's the largest open model ever released. And it came out of Beijing, not Silicon Valley. I've been watching the US policy conversation treat frontier AI and American AI as functionally the same category. Kimi K3 is the clearest sign yet that the two are separating. A few things worth sitting with. The strategic logic of open sourcing a frontier-class model is not primarily about revenue. It's about ecosystem gravity, pulling developers, researchers, and downstream products onto your model family in a way that a closed API never can. Meta figured this out with Llama. Moonshot is now running the same play at a bigger scale. The US lab's bet has been that a small capability lead, combined with a walled garden, is worth more than distribution. If open frontier models keep landing within a few months of the closed ones, that bet gets harder to defend. And there's the compliance angle. A lot of enterprises had implicit, "we only use US labs" policies. Those policies were easy when the trade-off was small. When the open Chinese model is 90% as capable at zero marginal cost, and you can run it inside your own VPC, the trade-off isn't small anymore. The question I keep coming back to: what does the frontier even mean when it's public? Source: China's Moonshot AI releases Kimi K3, the largest open source model ever, rivaling top US systems VentureBeat. Idea 3. A $1.4 billion valuation for 4 ex-government staffers with no product. Pattern match or category creation. Hook. 4 former Doge staffers just raised $160 million at a $1.4 billion valuation. The product doesn't exist yet. Angle. Cathedral's round is the cleanest example yet of a real shift in how the top-tier funds are underwriting. In 2021, the pattern match was ex-FAANG founders plus growth curve. In 2026, it's national security credentials plus government relationships. Founders should notice, because the doors that open in this environment are not the same ones that opened 3 years ago. Draft post. Cathedral raised $160 million at a $1.4 billion valuation this week. A16Z and Sequoia led. The company is a defense cyber startup founded by 4 former Doge staffers. There's no shipped product. Whatever you think of the founders or the mission, this is a data point worth studying if you're in the venture ecosystem. 3 years ago, the pattern match for a top-tier seed to Series A leap looked like ex-FAANG engineering leaders, obvious growth curve, TAM in a hot consumer or SaaS category. Today, the pattern that's clearing the same bar is government or national security credentials, plausible defense customer, AI adjacent moat. This is not a temporary rotation. A16Z has been building the American dynamism thesis for years. Sequoia has quietly followed, and the exits are starting to validate them. Anduril, Palantir, Shield AI. The talent flowing out of Doge, the Pentagon, and adjacent agencies is now considered as fundable as talent flowing out of Stripe or OpenAI. Arguably more, because government-adjacent founders come with something a Stripe alum doesn't, a relationship map inside the customer. For founders, the implication is real. If you're building in defense, GovTech, or dual use, the credential premium is bigger than it's ever been. If you're not, you're competing for a smaller share of top-tier attention than you were even 18 months ago. The check writing has already changed. The startup ecosystem story hasn't caught up yet. Source: Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital lead $160 million round for former Doge staff's venture CityBiz. Notes on selection. Prioritized 3 stories that A. Each have a clear thesis